Welcome to an all-new episode of Keefer's Corner. I'm Jeremy Naggard. That's Nick Pack. That is Coach Keefer. Coach, how are you doing tonight?
Very good. Very good.
I think it's usually pretty good. So now that we've made it back to level 4 for the second consecutive year, you're feeling very good.
Feeling very good.
Went to Freedom, another long bus ride. Nice night, kind of chilly.
Yeah. Great
and played on grass, got behind early, and then our offense, which has been slowed down a little bit this year, couldn't really be stopped after we got the ball back in the second possession. So I guess kind of talk us through the early parts of the game, the middle parts of the game, and if there was any single thing that you will always remember this level 3 game for.
Okay. A lot of stuff to chew on there. I was, obviously, I was very happy with the way our kids responded because, when you start a playoff game and you're down 14-0, I just didn't feel like our kids even blinked. I mean, I didn't sense any panic from them at all. I thought it was a really, really big play. Our second possession, because we deferred, they took the ball and scored. Then we got stopped. Then they scored again. They were up 14. And then we were still, we hadn't really locked it quite in yet. Got a couple first downs. I think Tatum made a great run. And then we had that sprint out pass where Gavin, it was, he dashes and it's tough for defenses because he's either going to run it or throw it. He certainly is encouraged to run when he thinks he can run. And then people can tell that, and then they come up, and then, they put their eyes because he's such a threat. And then, Brody Everts gets behind, and, he stepped up huge, and that was a, big play. And then, I think everybody, when we got that score, I think everybody just kind of felt good. And then we just kind of got our footing. I really thought the biggest part of the game, and Coach Jaden after the game was very impressed with our offensive line. He said, "Man, your offensive line is unbelievable. Those kids really do a great job," and they do. And I mean, outside of the first drive, I mean that's a good team, and they really are just very assignment sure. They have great communication, and you really have to give a ton of credit, I think, to Coach Lehman, who is just unbelievable the job that he does with our kids. They communicate so well. Like they have their own language. They have a sense of pride. I just really like how that whole thing goes, and I give Jordan just a ton of credit because he's he started out coaching, and he's just gotten so much better and better and better and better and better, and he's just really impressive. And we have a really good offensive staff. Zach Paul is very, very good too. He has a good sense. I think he called the draw, to Tatum, which
is a great call.
It was well timed. He's like, hey, we've been doing this. It's time for a draw. And I was like, that's a great idea. We get a lot of really good input from the guys on our staff. But obviously when you can go ahead and score on 7 straight possessions, I think it was 7, right? And then we had the last one was a kneel down.
Yep.
Which, we possessed that ball. I mean, that was the whole deal. And now we had a couple struggles first half defensively there, and it was, you don't know for sure what your opponent's going to do, and they did a lot more empty than we really maybe anticipated. Not that we were shocked by it. I mean, we had a plan, but it was fairly obvious that we were going to have to adjust our plan a little bit. And, when we went empty, and, we made some changes at halftime. I think it was a little bit better, but I think, the bigger part of that was really we just possessed the ball.
Right. So you talked about Freedom's first 2 possessions. So they scored their second touchdown with 2:25 left in the first quarter.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was almost that whole quarter that they had possessed it aside from a minute and 25 seconds where we turned it over on downs.
Yeah.
The touchdown that you alluded to with Gavin throwing it to Brody, that was 47 yards, and that happened at 48 seconds after having the ball for a minute and 37 seconds.
Yeah.
So a 75-yard drive to put us back in the game. And that's how the first quarter ended. And then the second quarter, it was a freedom score on the next possession to make it 21-8. And then we scored 3 straight times quickly, right? So a 48-second possession that went 54 yards, a 90-second possession that went 73 yards, and a 42-yard possession that went 48 seconds. And so that put us in the lead. Like in the blink of an eye, we're scoring. And so that's something that we've talked a lot about, is possessing. It's something we've talked a lot about where it's like we score so quick that you almost don't give your defense a chance. And that second half then was like an entirely different game.
It was. It really was. We didn't do the tempo stuff much in the second half. Maybe a couple times early, just when I felt like we had them on their heels a little bit. But the bigger thing was like, hey, we just had a good tempo, and we just kept we weren't getting the explosive plays, the big touchdowns, but yet we were pretty consistently moving the ball. We didn't have a lot of negative plays. Other than the 2-point conversions, we had some issues with penalties. But other than that, we were fairly clean, and we were just able to grind the ball and take care of the ball. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there was a turnover in this game. I mean, that's a good football game. Both teams played. I think, played good football.
No turnovers, and you didn't punt.
No.
So which brings me to two plays I think really stuck out in my mind that are difference makers, and one of my kind of want to get your opinion on too is, I'll start there. It seems like frequently we've been getting once a game an unsportsmanlike conduct, whoever it is. But I did feel that was what changed this game. Was they did score, stopped us on downs, scored again. We were 3rd and 9 when they got their unsportsmanlike. And I always say, Jeremy, get that first down. Go from there. And then we did go from there. So I think that was huge. But now talk about your team getting a couple of those unsportsmanlike. Obviously, we had one. Right. But it seems like we've gotten one a game. That to me as a culture, probably like that's the one we can't have.
Yeah, we can't. We talked. I actually addressed that with the team a little bit today after school. And it was Gavin, and Gavin got it because he I think it was like a taunting. He must have talked a little bit, and we can't do that. I mean, that hurts the team, and it's Gavin's an awesome kid, and I think he understands nobody's perfect, but he did do some up downs on that thing just tonight. But we have to, it's just like in the big picture, winning the game is what your focus has to be. And when you lose, you don't need to do that to, it doesn't make you a better player. I mean, I also understand, I did play and I understand there's a little bit of talk that goes on every once in a while.
There's
different lines at different officials. I hate to stereotype officials, but I'm old, so I can probably do it. Older guys probably have a little bit less leeway in you wagging your mouth than a younger group might. I don't know, but that's probably not a fair statement. There's probably a lot of younger officials that maybe are really, really strict, but I thought those officials did a good job. They really did. I mean, the stuff that got called against us, I thought was correct. The only call I didn't like was the 2-point where Gavin threw it, and they said he was over the line. I mean, come on. I mean, I couldn't see it in the game. I wasn't at all ticked. I just figured he must have been over the line. You see it on film, you're like, what? Because it really wasn't that close.
No, and that
was a bad call.
Seems like that's one where, as an officially, like, in order for you to call it, it has to be there. Like, to make that call, whether it's
the only thing I could think of, maybe the official somehow in the course of the thing must have moved and thought he was on the line of scrimmage or something. I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
Or just reacted like I didn't expect him to throw it. And
who knows? But
officials have been known to make a mistake.
yeah, well, like I said, I really thought that group did a good job. They did. They took care of it. There was a couple things that, like they were real quick. There was a kid for them that kicked our kid on the sideline, and I mean, he just he threw the flag immediately. I mean, which that's good. You should.
So the other big turning point I felt, well, backflash to his first drive, 4th and 4, 5-ish, I want to say, 3, 4, 5-ish, when you went for it.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me, as a player on your team says, A, I have confidence in my offense to get this, and B, I have confidence in my defense to stop them if we don't.
Mm-hmm. You
don't get it. Oh, well, you move on, right?
Yep.
They go, they score. We score. They score. We score to make it 21-14, I believe. And now they have a 4th and 3, 4, and we're going, you go for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they punted.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
Which then allowed us to go down and get make it 21-20, I believe at the time. But that to me was a big change too, like a confidence. If they go for that, I'm not gonna say they get it, right? But that, I mean, talked about your philosophy of going for it on 4th down, maybe on that first drive of confidence in your offense.
I really thought we'd get it. I did. I thought we'd get it. I actually thought I screwed up the first call of the game. I had a script, and you're all jacked up, and it turns out that we're on the hash, and the play I had called was it would have been much better to the field, and I called it, and then I was like, I just like that's on me. You got to be. You talk about kids being focused, like get focused. I mean, I just was excited watching the game and called the first one, and I was like, oh shit, I should have flipped it, and so that was on me. That was not a good start. So I kind of felt like I dug us a little hole there. Then I think we got him to jump. We got 5. Then we got stuffed.
Right.
And I can't remember what happened. We must have got stuffed twice.
Yeah, it was. So the first play was Gavin into the boundary, and that went for 0.
Yeah.
And then I think the false start or the offsides. So it was 2nd and 5. Tayden gets 3.
Yeah.
Gavin gets 1.
Yeah. So it's 4th and 1.
And then Dane, you go jet, and Dane gets hit in the backfield, is able to almost get back to the line of scrimmage. But yeah, so that
didn't get it. Yeah.
Unless Tayden carried it 3 times.
No, I think
Gavin had
no, the last one was definitely Dane. I don't know that for a fact.
Yep.
And yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a pass on that because I had 2 different people tell me today. One of them used the word flawless play calling.
Wow.
So aside from that, from the first play, another one used the word masterclass.
Oh,
so and
I think it's easy to to say, oh God, it's great play calling. We have great players,
which is fair, but
we have great players, and the players make plays, and they pretty much make everything that I do work.
Which is
so far this year.
Which is, I mean, it's when you call 4 passing plays last week, we complete 2 passes, and you go into halftime with Gavin having thrown the ball 3 times, resulting in 3 touchdowns, and all of those touchdowns with a receiver that there's really nobody even in the vicinity.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. But the thing that I think makes us a little bit challenging is we run a lot and we put pressure on you, and you need everybody to stop the run. And if you got some good play action and people are thinking that you're running, right, those are the opportunities that present themselves. So hopefully we can keep that rolling. And kids are getting it done. I mean, there's no doubt there.
So we talked a little bit about this over the weekend. I went through and watched, and I don't rewatch the games entirely, but it was a really good football game.
Mm-hmm.
It was 28-28 at halftime. It was an exhausting first half. Part of that is, I think, because we're by Casilius and Furman, and that's exhausting. And it's 28-28, and we look at each other and we're like, we got to do that for 24 more minutes, and we don't even have a team with an advantage. There's been 6 possessions for Freedom, 5 possessions for us. Like, how is this game gonna turn? We come out in the next possession after possessing the ball for 6 minutes and 8 seconds in the first half, and have a 3-minute and 36-second drive. We converted 1 of 2 third downs, which was the first third down we'd converted all night. We went that first possession. We had a failed third down attempt, a failed fourth down attempt, and I believe that third down wasn't even converted by running; it was converted on a penalty. And then we did convert a fourth down later in that drive to score. Then I started to like, are we going to be able to do what we did against Northwestern in 2010, where we just in a close game command a quarter by
chewing it up, just running the ball,
which we haven't done well because
we've been explosive.
Yeah. And so the part that was super surprising to me, and it was surprising to you too, and surprising to the other coaches I've talked to, on third down snaps in that game, offensively, do you know how many we had?
Like third down snaps we had?
Yeah.
6.
5. Which is crazy to possess the ball in the second half for 19 and a half minutes. And in the second half, snap the ball 4 times on third down.
That's crazy.
We had 18 first downs. Like,
we're getting chunks. We had a lot of second and twos. Hey, you talk about calling plays. It's pretty easy to call plays when you're second and two.
Those are the best ones.
That's not bad.
And so, like, that to me is like when you talk about what sticks out, it's burning up the second half of the third quarter and getting a touchdown. Sure, they go down and score right away, and then we get it back with 10 minutes left in a one possession game, and it's a 7-minute and 55-second drive.
That's a great drive.
An 89-yard drive, and then a 91-yard drive.
Yeah.
To basically put it out of the reach, and they made that nice drive at the end, where they eventually turned it over on downs. But that to me, like 5 third down snaps when you possess the ball for 19 and a half minutes in the second half is absolutely crazy.
Yeah. The number in my head was 10. Because I would assume there was a lot of them, because we had those long drives and, but I guess, in retrospect, we didn't have, I guess, as many third downs as I had thought. So, I mean, it's just, we were getting good chunks of yardage. And I mean, Taden runs super hard, and he there were a couple times he made something out of nothing. There's no doubt. And, we just, Gavin just, they both have a good feel, and we had enough mix there where I don't think, they really could tee off on what we were going to do next. And so that was great.
The final rushing lines on those two, Taden carried the ball 24 times for 180 yards. Gavin carried the ball 23 times for 182 yards. And then passing wise, Gavin completed 4 passes of 7 for 132 yards. 4 scores.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good day.
Pretty efficient.
It's pretty damn good, yeah.
I thought Brody Everts, that the second touchdown that he had, where Gavin is running and like jumps.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's like, this is how we don't quarterback.
This was no. Yes! No! Yeah! What are you doing?
Yeah, it's crazy. There was 3 different guys that touched it, I believe, before Brody just kind of finds it.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Gavin just, he does that. I mean, he has so much improved. I mean, his improvement in like decision making with the ball and just like the ability to throw it away, or I mean, he's just really gotten better. And I think, we've really tried to emphasize the importance of that. And I feel like he's really receptive and understands. He's a smart kid. He can make some plays where you're just like, I don't know how he did that. But I mean, there were a couple times where he just like, he takes off. I mean, it doesn't even have to be in this game. There were just a couple times it's like, wow, it's nice to have that just take off and there's 20, So that's been fun.
And you mentioned the 9 yards on first down. There was numerous times where like, we're looking at the ref because there's no hashes or anything.
Yeah.
Is it a first down? Is it not? And it was second and inches. It was like, man, that, like you said, as a play caller, just opens everything up. And you go back to, I want to say we scored first possession of the second half. Must have got a punt. Scored again. And I want to say we had a 2-possession lead when they scored. And we kind of had We make sure they weren't onside, and they kicked it deep, which is the one that kind of bounced it, and we end up at the 9-yard line. And we're sitting there going, we got to find a way to get that first down, get out of the end zone. We haven't punted yet. We don't need to have this our first punt. And the first play, Tatum goes for 20.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just so huge play. Deflating for them. It's like
huge play.
Oh, they just get the momentum, and now all of a sudden it's almost like, well, we know what's coming next. It's going to be 1 or 2 for 8, 1 or 2 for 5, 1 or 2 for 9.
But that stuff does not happen without the guys up front. I mean, we had a little film, session, and there were a couple things early. Jimmy Kropelnicki, I was getting on him a little bit. He started out a little bit slow, but then he played great. After that second drive, I mean, these guys are really playing some good football. Their assignment sound, and they're so athletic. I mean, I've never had a group that's this athletic. I mean, the things that these guys are capable of doing, and they can reach block, they can pull, they get to the second level, and it's just, there's a lot of years you draw the stuff up and you're like, hey, this is how it should work. But it doesn't always look like that in reality. This year you draw it up and it's like, that's how it works. I mean, these dudes they get it done. So again, just really proud of the effort those guys put in.
And it must also carry outward too. I'm guessing that, obviously we know how well Tatum can block, but I'm guessing Brody, Dane, and Dawson are getting it down the edge as well, because
absolutely they take pride in it. You can see everybody does it. It doesn't happen. Those big plays don't happen if your receivers aren't blocking.
It's almost like a draw, then, if you will, like for the D-backs on the receivers, when they finally get off that receiver, like, oh, I can go make a tackle. And all of a sudden, like, oh, wait a minute, the ball's going on my head to a wide open Brody Everett's, to Jimmy Kropelnicki, all that stuff. So yeah, kudos to that.
Yeah.
So we get home. Let's look forward now. So a position that we've been at now. This is time number 4 since 2008. So 2008 lost to Watoma at Chippewa Falls.
Yep.
2010 lost to Kewanee at DC Everest.
Yep.
2023 lost to Lodi at Arcadia. Winneconne, who we have seen one time in school's history.
Okay.
Did you know this?
I knew that we played them, and Dave Ramberg sent me a text and said 1987 Baldwin beat them to go to state.
Correct.
Yep.
46-24.
Okay.
Before beating Beloit Turner in the state championship game 16-8. So we've seen them one time, all of 37 years.
Amazing.
And now we're back level 4, and this time's going to be in Medford.
Yeah.
So what are your early thoughts, early impressions, early feelings as we get into level 4 week now for the 4th time in the last 16 years?
Well, this team, Winneconne, is what you'd expect to see in the state semifinal. They're a really good team. Their quarterback is his name's Brody Schaefer. He's probably about, maybe 6'1" or 6'2", maybe like 190, I'm gonna guess. So he's a little bit bigger than the kid at Freedom. And he is scary fast, and he is a very, very decisive runner. Like, when he decides to go, he goes. And when he scrambles, unlike the kid from Freedom, who is a great scrambler, but he always scrambled to try to throw it. He always was looking to throw it, and they kept things going. Where the Winneconne kid he'll pull it down and boom, he goes. He scrambles to run, and he is dangerous. I honestly, you just don't see kids like this very often. He's a really talented kid. And we're going to have to make sure that we stop him. That will be the primary objective, is going to be to stop this kid. Everything goes through him, whether they're throwing it or running it, very talented kid. They also have a really, really good player up front. I think his name is Hudson Somolinski or something like that, number 71. Jumps out on film. He reminds me a lot of the kid from Ellsworth at Comer, 56, or he's kind of like, David Regnier from Prescott, this kid's like them. He's only a junior. By the way, the quarterback is only a junior as well.
Receiver.
Yeah. It sounds kind of similar. I would say, that Bodie Schaefer and Gavin Sell have a lot of similar traits, a lot of similar skills. So that's going to be exciting. I would think this will be a lot of fun to watch. Looking at them, they do an awful lot of different things, especially defensively. They will give us. When you talk about multiple defenses, they are very multiple. I mean, you're gonna have, obviously you'll have some bare front. We'll see some even. We'll see, sometimes there'll be 5 to 7 kids on the line of scrimmage. Sometimes there'll be 3 kids on the line of scrimmage. They're going to do a bunch of different things, and they're going to blitz. Looking at their film, that's a thing that they're a blitz. They'll blitz from all over. So it's really, I kind of told our kids, it's kind of like being in school, and you've been learning stuff all year. Like every week, if you will, is a chapter, or a unit that you're teaching, and then this is kind of like going to be the cumulative exam where you're going to have to apply the things that you've learned, because there's nothing that we're going to do this week that is like new schematically. It's just identification and apply your rules. Identify, apply your rules. There are other teams that give you, we've seen different looks from different teams. People are going to be tweaking stuff, but we know we're going to get a ton of that. So it's just a matter of our kids being poised and having great communication and playing fast. And so this is a great time to be playing a team like that. Now there's something to be said too. I mean, if you're doing 8 million things on defense, it's hard to be great at every one of them. You know what I mean? So I mean, there's things there. It works both ways. You can be more multiple, but you can also not be great at all of the stuff you're doing. And hopefully we can figure out what they're doing, and maybe where there's some spots that we can take advantage of them. And so we'll see. I mean, I feel really good about our kids and their ability to, it's really not what the coaches know that matters. It's what the kids know on the field that matters. And I give a ton of credit to the way it's been taught to them, from our whole offensive staff, because our kids, they know what we want to do. I mean, there's things that we do against, there's a whole menu of items, for each play. There are things that are variables, and I feel like our kids got a pretty good, like how we block the jet. We're going to have to wait and see what they do, right? But we've blocked the jet differently against different opponents, so they know. I mean, we have some rules, and I'm not going to disclose all of our rules, obviously, but yeah. So I feel pretty good about our kids, and I think we got a confident bunch. I feel like we are going to do a really good job in the special teams department. I think we can make that be a difference in this game as well.
So are there certain plays that maybe Gavin has the leeway to change it up? Like you say, maybe you have a jet call, but we're not going to run jet against this formation. Now all of a sudden they have that. Is that something we're going to be like, well, we'll stop?
Well, I would say there's probably, it's nothing new. We're not going to do anything new for these people than we would for anybody, because in most of our plays, and I'm thinking, because what would be the percentage of plays? I mean, sometimes we have pass plays called. We're passing it. But the vast majority of times, what we do is it's number, space, and leverage. And if they're loading the box, we're throwing the ball. Okay? And if it's light out there, then we're running, right? I mean, so, yeah, I mean, he's always, the quarterback, I would say, legitimately in our offense, it's over 2/3 of the time, it's truly a pre-snap run-pass option. I don't know if it's going to be a run or a pass. It depends on what we see from the defense, right? And we, every week we kind of have some things that we're kind of looking at and coaching up, but so yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we're not going to run into a heavy, crazy, let's say like you gave the example, like, hey, you're running a jet and they got everybody out there, or whatever, they have it overloaded. We always will have something on the backside of that called, so we can throw the ball,
Right.
get it out quick, and we're still in a good play. I mean, I think that's a big reason. I mean, I'm not saying we don't ever have negative plays. We don't have very many negative plays, so I think that's part of it.
So you said special teams you feel like can be a good factor for yourself again. I know we talked, it was a couple of weeks ago, I think Jerry mentioned that it was 3 or 4 or whatever kick return for touchdowns, and he's like, is that an issue? And you're like, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
From that point, we've seen a lot of squib kicks.
Mm-hmm.
And then towards the end of last week, we did see a couple deep. And we were talking, I'm like, it also pays factor that when you kick off a lot, you also have opportunity for a lot more kick return for touchdowns. When you're kicking off 7-8 times a game,
right?
That's an opportunity for it.
Yeah, no kidding.
I would say
that's true.
You might have a little more confidence in your kickoff team.
I feel great about our kickoff team right now. I mean, we actually worked on that quite a bit today. We're not going to disclose like a strategy, but we definitely have I think a good strategy going into this opponent, and that's going to be exciting.
Is the Hasselman kid, the freshman kid?
Yeah. How about that? I think he had 2 tackles, and the one was just like, boom.
Yeah, I think he had 1 this game and 3 the last game on kickoffs. Because he hasn't been at kickoff all year.
He kicked at Somerset because and then he actually, I just told him, because I watched him in JV games, and he was like a missile in JV games. He'd kick it and run down and make the tackle. I just told him, I said, instead of having usually our kicker will be a safety. I'm like, Gio, just go hammer it, run down and go ahead and tackle him. He made 2 tackles. So then we had, a couple injuries and, couple things, kind of pop up there on our kickoff unit. So I'm like, hey, Gio, let's give this thing a shot. You want to compete for this? And, he looked good, and he went down, and, the best way to stay on kickoff team is make tackles, right? And he's doing that. And now I got some other younger kids that are kind of tugging at my shirt saying, hey, I'd like a shot at this thing too, I'm like, good, let's compete. I love that. So those are good things. I mean, you get at this time of year, we all, regardless of our year, we have to put the team first. And that's what it is. I mean, and I feel really good about the guys that sometimes, you have an older guy get replaced by a younger guy. But the attitude's been great, and team first, and that's really meaningful to me. I think that's a big deal. Like, kids put the team first.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when you get to this point of the season, you're really looking at the seniors, right? This is your last chance. Obviously, Gavin and Tayden statistically are significant contributors, right?
Yeah.
But then you look at other guys that step up, and when I rewatch a game, it's like Jimmy Cropper, like he's showing up on both sides of the ball.
Oh, he's playing great.
Drew Vienendahl, Logan Johnson's always he's always around the ball. Brody Everett's always around the ball.
The kid that doesn't get talked about nearly enough in our defense, but he's freaking great, is Dawson Vienendahl. I mean, that coverage was spectacular. Even like they had the one that came back. I think they had a hold or something. Yep, that was unbelievable coverage. I mean, he was literally right there, and just right on it. I mean, you can't get better coverage. And then I think he had 2 other really, really tight coverage breakups. He's just really good, man. He's a good player, and it really isn't anybody. Is there anybody pound for pound tougher than him? I don't know. He's approaching the Colton Hush status, which is, you get to that status, you're pretty dang tough.
I think I had him for 4 pass defended.
Yeah.
Defended. And I
believe that.
The other corner, another junior, for 11 total tackles.
Really?
Yeah.
Dane had 11?
5 solo, 6 assisted.
Oh, he's great. I mean, both those guys they're really, really good. And I'll tell you what, those freedom receivers, that's a tough unit. I mean, fast, tall, good. They were really talented. I would say they were better than I even thought they would be. They're good.
Logan Johnson, 9 tackles total. Brody Everts, 8 tackles total.
Amazing.
Jimmy had 6, including a big sack.
That was huge.
I mean, there was just it was a new guy, like who's stepping up this time.
Yeah.
And almost every time it was like Galdang a junior, right?
Yeah.
With the exception of Evan Becker's a senior, right?
Yeah.
He had a huge.
Yes. I think he's had like sack in 3 consecutive playoff games, if I'm not mistaken. I think Evan Becker. I think he got one. He chased that kid out of bounds.
Yep.
And then I believe he got one against O'Connell Falls too.
I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure the Ellsworth one because I just put that one in today.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had another sack, and it's like when you just can bring a wave.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I love it because like Becker's a kid that he didn't play football as a freshman, and he came out as a sophomore, and he just like worked and it's just that's just like the stuff I love. I mean, I love it when he's a grinder, but so important to our team. It's great.
The Ellsworth sack that he had, I actually had to rewind the game because I'm like, he runs by people.
I know.
Like, who is it? That guy didn't come from the line. I brought it back, and I'm like, how about that? He came from the line.
He's active, man. He's doing a good job for us, without a doubt.
I would say the one thing that lacked on Friday was the inability to convert the extra point. Couldn't even get the snap down.
Well, we did have a bad snap. I think one bad snap. No, are you talking about the field goal?
The attempted.
Yeah, I think what happened there. We've addressed it, but like we haven't kicked extra points, and if you're on the sidelines and you better snap it every once in a while. Keep it going, Alec. It's just a young guy, and and that's coaching. That's not his fault. You should have been reminding him, hey man, you need to go snap a few here and there, periodically throughout the game, especially and it's going to be cool. It's going to be nice night this Friday, but it's going to be cooler this time of the year. It's going to be cool, and hopefully we have another game, and that's probably going to be pretty cool too if we can get to that, right? So you have to get used to the cold and understand you got to warm up maybe a little more frequently than you do when it's a 70-degree night in August. It's a lot different when it's a 40-degree night in November.
And maybe someone just needs to take Wes aside and say, hey, if you get the ball in your hands, just get rid of it. I mean, that was their quarterback that comes flying through.
Yeah.
And hits him hard. It's like, just give it up. But
I think there was a NFL Films highlight that was reminiscent of, you guys remember Gil Yepremian?
No.
Well, he was a kicker for the Miami Dolphins. This shorter guy like that, and he, it was a similar situation. He was running around, he just got jacked up. It just kind of reminded me of it.
You didn't chuckle at the game, did you?
Wow.
Is that when it struck the chord for it? Like, as it happened? You're like, I've seen this before.
I think actually it did, yeah. I mean, it's like, dang, this is crazy. But you know what? Wes he's tough, and he'll remember that for a long time. But I still say, I mean, he's doing a really good job kicking, and we got a lot of confidence in him. What are you going to do? If it's ball snapped to you and you catch it, you're it's kind of a tough spot. Yeah, it was a good catch, and running for dear life, and
got chased down. I was hoping we were going to go for 2 because, like Nick said in the broadcast, I was hoping for the 50 burger, and then 48 and then 49, and it made sense. I mean, given the difference in points, but 50 to me would have been a lot of fun. But I get it.
So let's talk Friday then. I believe no school again. Right? I think last time we were there was at Prescott. Correct?
Sounds right.
Was it 2 hour to Medford?
2 hours. A little less than 2, I think.
So are we stopping along the way? Are we going to drive straight there?
I think the plan would be, because the kids, I think it's an in-service day, is that correct? So the kids don't have school, so I'll probably get them up, and we'll walk, do a walk through like at 9 in the morning just to make sure they're up and moving. That'll be a 20-minute deal. I'm sure a lot of them will go out for breakfast after that. But I want them to eat, like, they're gonna eat on their own before we get on the bus. I mean, ideally you want to be done eating by 3. Our bus is gonna leave at 2:30. So it's just kind of right in no man's land there. But I'm going to tell them that, they got to eat something good. We'll go. We're taking 2 school buses, and we're just going to hammer it up there. That won't be. It's 2 hours. And if you're, it was awfully nice having the coach bus, but if it's 2 hours, we can grind it out. The 4-hour thing, it was really nice on the way home, especially to have a coach bus last weekend. But our plan is to just get up there. We'll get food for the kids after. I'll have to decide what we're going to do there. I got to get on that pretty quick, but.
Yeah, 2 hours. What do you do when you stop right in Eau Claire? It's like
I don't know if you even need to.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It's 2 hours. We drove for 2 hours last time and then stopped and walked. So, I think we'll just hammer it up there, get there, and be ready to roll.
And Medford is turf, I believe.
It is.
Now, is that fans only on one side?
I think, based on an email I got, it sounds like we're on. I think it was the north side, and then north side of the bleachers, and then Winneconne would be on the south side.
So you're on the side with the fans, or with?
No, I believe that we're going to be on the far side of the field.
So no fans behind you.
I think that's the way I interpreted it.
It kind of looks like that.
I actually just quickly read an email, and that was the impression. I didn't read it super close. Just scanned it to see if there was anything unique. But I think they must have buildings close to the field. There must be 2 buildings. So one team goes to one building, the other goes to the other for halftime. So that's kind of sweet. Sounds like that's close. Nice.
Yeah, and I think that's the way I interpreted it too. And we'll wear white.
Yeah.
Like we did this past week. And then it's like people ask me, I know a whole lot, which I don't. Hey, how's it going to go Friday? Right, and I think back to these other level 4 games.
Yeah,
Watoma, we had a pretty costly turnover.
Yeah,
right. Kiwani had an injury, and we're still in the game. Came back. They get us on a pass play. You think about Lodi last year. Start the game with a turnover.
Yeah,
right. When you lose that battle in a game with really good teams, right? It's something very simple. What's going to be the story of the game? Turnovers, special teams, penalties, right?
Yeah. There was just a outfit from Appleton, some newspaper that wanted, a comment on the game, and this is exactly what I said. It's 2 good teams. There's a lot of weapons. I said the keys to the game will be, number 1, I think, tackling. You got to tackle. And number 2, you can't turn the ball over. You got to take care of the ball. Team that takes care of the ball and tackles the best will win, in my opinion.
Nick said something about not having yellow on the field, and then he also said not having brown on the field. And I almost punched him because I'm a little superstitious when it comes to things like that. And when he says that, I'm like, if we fumble, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, you just got to, we literally, people would probably think that I'm a little bit crazy at practice because I will go nuts on a kid that didn't fumble because I think you could have fumbled. Logan Johnson just last week had a fumble or fielded a short kick, and he was running with the ball and he had it down low, and I just won't let him do it.
Did you come unglued?
I did. I get more ticked off about that than I probably do just about anything.
Was there a hat throw?
No, it was not a hat throw, but there was a pretty decent decibel level, and but it's important to everybody, and I try to I want them all to understand how important it is that we take care of that thing. You can talk about it, but you can practice it, and then when you see if you see it, the elbow's away, or or the ball's down low, that's when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So
I saw the highlights from it was actually Green Bay station that I watched on the way home, and it was from the other vantage point that we had, and so Jimmy's touchdown catch, and there's no one near him.
No,
right, and he's got the ball.
Yeah, love it.
Tight. He's heard that a time or two.
He's heard it
because
they all have.
That to me was when you're clicking on all the cylinders, you're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah,
and things like that late in the game when the instruction from the sideline is get the ball out, and Tate's got 4 guys and he's pulling them, and he's also
Yeah.
up here in the ball.
And then you will also hear guys like Coach Paul, who I love that, because he was screaming at Tatum. He's like, hey, possession is more important than a yard.
Right.
You know, like, you just got to understand the game situation, and you got to get down. You know what I mean? And just because it's true, you know, you got to hang on to it. So
we saw that in the NFL yesterday.
Yeah. We see it every Sunday.
The overtime game in Germany.
Okay.
Initial possession, and rookie running back fumbles on one of the first carries. Other team kicks a game-winning field goal, game over.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else?
Last thing I'll say is, I mean, obviously you said very Gavin Sell like their quarterback is. So obviously he plays defense. I mean, do you need Jeremy to come in and play scout quarterback? It's a big. He's not an athlete. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Well,
I'll nominate him.
Yeah. For the record, I mean, if you give me the choice between quarterbacks, I'll tell you the quarterback that I want to have, and that's Gavin Sell. I mean, the other kid's really good, but we'll take Gav. The nice thing is, when Gav's not going, he obviously needs to practice defensively as well. But he's like literally one of the few people that can give us the same look that this kid's going to give us. I mean, that's a tough ask for a freshman or sophomore. Hey, you're a scout quarterback, and all of a sudden, you know. So Gavin's going to probably pull a little bit of double duty. Obviously, we're not going to be like tackling to the ground or anything like that. But just for angles and for our edge people and to understand where we fit, that's a thing for sure.
For the record, I have played scout team quarterback.
Yeah, we've had great ones over the years. 2008.
I mean, this was in my coaching days.
Oh yeah, I know.
I don't think I would really give you much.
I'll tell you. You know, I will say this. I got to give a little shout out. You should see Coach Lodgerman spin the ball.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that makes
I mean, like when he's doing D-back drills, these guys are running down the field. He just puts it there every single time. I mean, he was a quarterback back in the day, and then he played linebacker, of course, at River Falls. That's where I got to know him.
He would give you a better look than I would right now today.
Yeah.
I feel like that's accurate.
Yeah, we got another sneaky unknown quarterback. You would probably not expect us looking at with his body type, but Jake Laram was a quarterback. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
He was a QB. Yeah, absolutely. He actually made a little run at it at Eau Claire, but it didn't work out. But I mean, obviously, he was pretty good.
There you go.
Yeah.
The more we know.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so we will be at Medford in the booth. You will be at Medford on the sideline. So we're going to stream this one, and it's going to be a lot of fun. With that, I think we'll wrap it up. We'll do this on Friday night. We're going to get that level 4 victory.
Yeah,
I'm not calling level 4 anymore, so the curse is over. State semifinal. We're done with level 4.
Yeah, we just we're excited for the opportunity. We certainly appreciate. There was it was sweet. We had a fan bus, and we had those kids that were loud, and it's really cool. It's appreciated, and we certainly have had feel a ton of community support, which is great. So we want to get over the hump and get down to Madison. That'd be a lot of fun,
and win a game that's close enough that we can come back and celebrate a little bit.
Yeah,
getting home at 3 in the morning.
I got home at 3:30.
Yeah, that's not good for celebrating it up. So we're going to go to Medford. We're going to take care of business. Regardless of how it all plays out, we'll do this again next week, and we'll see how this all shakes out. Blackhawk football 2024. So for Nick Pack, Dan Keefer, Jeremy Nygaard, thanks for joining us. So long, everyone.